Hyperbolas are different than the others, and this time there's a subtract between two things. So one thing that I'm going to want you to pay attention to is which variables first. If it's y squared subtract x squared, we're going to have a hyperbola that opens upwards. If y squared subtracts x squared, it's either going to be opening up or down, or it will be opening up and down, excuse me. And when it's x squared subtract y squared, it's going to be opening left and right. Okay, so try to look at that first so you end up not drawing the diagram incorrectly. And if you need to, come over here and say, oh yeah, I need to remember I'm going to be drawing the openings up and down. The next thing that you're going to want to notice, okay, where's the center going to be? And just like the ellipse or the circle, well, and the parabola, if there's nothing inside the parentheses for either one of those variables, it automatically is at 0, 0. And then to find the vertices and the co-vertices, right there you have a squared and b squared, but be careful, under y is still the b squared and under x is still the a squared. So they've swapped places. So if you take the square root of each of those, so the square root of 9 is 3. So we're going to go over left and right 3 places, and then you could actually label those. This would be negative 3, 0, and this would be 3, 0. And then the square root of 4 is 2, so you would be going up 2 and down 2. Now, one thing that is different with every other shape is what you're going to be doing when you have those vertices. You're going to kind of sketch this invisible rectangle. I might have made that a little bit, that's going to be hard for you guys to see. So let me do this and I'll make it a little bit bigger. There you go. You can see that. I'll make it a little bit more invisible. So you're going to be drawing this invisible rectangle, and through that rectangle, you're going to draw diagonal lines. And when you draw them, actually draw them so they go all the way kind of to the end of the graph. So, and those diagonal lines that go through that invisible rectangle, those are called asymptotes. So that's one way to find the asymptotes. The other way to find the asymptotes is it's just the equation of, so when you have y equals mx plus b, notice those are just lines. The ratio is you just set b over a, and you're going to make that a positive and a negative slope. So in this case, y is equal to both positive and negative. The b value is 2, the a value is 3, and now we have a line. So at the center, we go up 2 over 3, draw that line, and then from the center we can go down 2 over 3, draw that line, and those are the asymptotes. What the asymptotes do is they give the hyperbola, the curved pieces, boundaries. And we've already decided this is going to be moving up and down. Whoops. So you're going to get really, really close to that asymptote, and you're never going to touch it. Notice we started at a vertex point, like a parabola, it has a vertex, and then you draw it so that it gets really close to that asymptote, but it doesn't matter how far you go on into positive or negative infinity, it's never going to touch that asymptote. Okay, and I'm going to do this again, rectangle. I'm going to cover some things up so it's going to be easier. There we go. I'm going to cover up a bunch of this stuff. And now what you're going to do is you're going to find the focus. Where does the focus fit in all of this? Well, the focus, and there's two of them, so the foci, is a squared plus b squared. Well, here we have our a squared and our b squared. This is the b squared. So c squared is equal to 4 plus 9. C squared is equal to 13. So when you take the square root of each side, so let's think about that. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. A little bit, 13 is a little bit closer to 16, so it's going to be probably about 3.6. So notice we went up. This hyperbola is opening up and down. So remember, we're going to go the distance of the square root of 13, about 3.6. I didn't check it, but it's going to be somewhat close to that. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more than 3.5. We're going to put a point. Down 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more than 3.5. Put a point, and that will be the focus. So that focus would be 0, positive square root 13, and 0, negative square root 13. And you have identified the major pieces. We'll talk a little bit more about the transverse axes, the conjugate axes, and the eccentricity. But for now, I wanted you to be aware of how do you sketch a hyperbola. That's it for now.